You need to build things in the right timing.
Well, I'm not going to talk to him about this because I don't want to stress him out.
Even if you fail, you fail. It doesn't matter. At least you tried.
As a mother, you constantly feel pulled.
Of course, my father never really encouraged me to continue in his footsteps as my future career. But I showed to him that I wasn't just going to stay next to him, shadow him, and then make my career. I actually went to school, got the degree, did what I had to do, and then proved to him that I wanted to do this.
But thank you guys both for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for
aka
having us.
Jimmy. That's unbeknownst to me. Okay, so what is the correlation there? Why
I
is
don't
Dimitri
understand it.
Jimmy?
I figured that out when I went from Greece to Canada.
Never questioned it.
And as soon as I arrived in Canada, everybody was calling me Jimmy.
Wow.
And I'm like, how is Dimitri Jimmy?
And you're just
apparently
you're just like,
in
I'm rolling
Montreal, Dimitri is Jimmy.
All right.
Yeah.
And Lydia is Lydia anywhere in the world.
I am genuine.
But you are Lydia with an I instead of a
Lydia
Lydia
with
with a
an
Y.
That's true.
So you're
that is
special
true.
too, though.
Okay. You're from Greece. Or,
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
When did you?
Actually, I was born in South Africa, in Johannesburg.
Were you really?
Yes. And then
Okay.
the apartheid happened. So, my parents weren't racists. So,
So they left.
they're like, we can't do this.
Good.
So they left.
Brownie points for your parents.
Yeah. And
Okay.
then we went to Greece.
Okay.
And I lived there till I was about 10, 11 years old.
Okay.
My sisters, I have two sisters. They're older than me. So it was time for them to go to university. And the way it works in Europe is people usually go to another country, whether it's England or France or Germany. And that's where they do their studies. Because Greece is a small country, there's not too many options. So my dad said, look, instead of sending, my two girls away, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the whole family to Canada. And like this, we can all be together. So that's exactly what happened. Unfortunately, my parents visited Canada in the summer. They didn't understand that maybe there was a winter and
Where in Canada?
so in, I would say Montreal because it's the region of Montreal, but it's actually an island north of Montreal called Laval.
Okay.
So that's where we lived.
Okay.
And it's French. Number one is the French language. When I moved there, I didn't speak English nor French. I only spoke Greek. So at 11, I had to go to a special school called Classe d'accueil in French. So that's a welcoming class where you do your grade 1 to 6 and learn French, right?
Okay.
So I did that. My sisters went to university, and then that's all she wrote.
So in my mind, I wasn't sure. Like, is he Canadian? Is he Greek?
Oh, I'm a
Little
mix.
So yours?
I'm a mix.
Are your parents South African?
No, my parents are Greek.
Your parents are Greek. They were living in South Africa.
Exactly.
And moved back to
Yeah,
Greece. Okay.
there were a lot of Greeks in South Africa.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So
well, your mom is.
my mom is half Arab, half Greek. So there's a lot of
All right.
there's a big mix.
So the
There's
United
a-
Nations here.
a
Okay.
United Nations, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
So so we've been exposed to a lot of different cultures in our life. I have an uncle who's Lebanese, as an uncle who's Egyptian, and a Greek uncle. So and it
Wow.
makes sense due to my
Yeah.
family history. So
That's amazing, man. And
Yeah.
Lydia, you're Canadian?
I'm French Canadian,
French Canadian. Okay.
and my family hasn't traveled as much as his. It's always a joke because I found someone who had done some research on our family tree, and I was like retracing. My last name is Croteau. I was retracing the
I love
first
the
Croteau that
pronunciation
came
of that.
from Normandy in France. And the first Croteau came to a small village called Saint-Antoine de Tilly. And they stayed there for generations and generations and generations. And then moved 1 hour away. And now my parents live 5 minutes away from that little village.
No way.
So
you
they
guys are
moved
like-
5 minutes away.
That's where
you
I
guys are
grew
like
up.
the founders.
Yeah, very different.
Founding fathers of
no move
wow.
from France in the 1600s to the small village in Quebec, and still there.
Wow.
Well, now
Okay.
in
See,
Florida.
I made the mistake yesterday of being like, I'm going to be real impressive. So I texted Lydia to confirm today, and I put it into Google Translate in English, and I hit translate to French, and I just sent it to her, and I was like, this is impressive. And
And
she
I was like,
responded back like all these words, and I was just like, whoa, 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 whoa. I speak American.
Yeah. Well,
So-
French is my first language, but
Yeah.
I learned English pretty quick. I went to an exchange program my senior year. I went to live in a family in New Brunswick for 3 months, and I came back bilingual, I would say.
Yeah.
And then that's it. Yeah.
That's so cool. And you guys have been in Florida now for
5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What well, to back up a little bit, you guys are the owners of a dental lab here in Winter Park as well as in Quebec, Style Dent. What precipitated that move down here to Florida?
You want to start?
Well, Florida became our second home because Dimitri's sister lives in Baldwin Park in Orlando,
Okay.
and she's been living there for like 20 years. And
So I've been coming back and forth.
every winter we would
Okay.
come for many years, and we loved it here. And every time it was time to go back,
We would
be
extend our
like,
trip.
either
Literally,
like
we
extend
would
the
find a way to
trip,
extend the trip, even just a couple of days more, or
Always
Really?
dreaming,
Yeah.
wouldn't it be nice to live here? And then
Yeah.
at some point,
Okay.
we just made the decision. Evelina was just 4 years old. So we said it's before she starts school or after she
well,
graduates.
the year before we
and-
actually moved, we had been here about 7 times that year.
Wow. In 1 year.
It's
in
like
1 year.
every weekend.
Yeah, every
we
like,
go
we were
on
like
a plane.
yeah. So we looked at ourselves and, we said, let's go for a walk and have a serious conversation.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah,
did.
I remember.
You remember that?
Yes.
Yeah, we walked for like 4 hours.
Yeah, we were like, we got to do something.
Yeah, and
about it.
we just said, look, our kid is not even, she's a baby. She was a baby back then, and nothing serious had started, no school.
Yeah.
And we said we either do it before she starts school or we do it after.
Yeah. And
So
after
we're
is a long time.
After is a long time. And, in life so far, we've learned that if you want to do something, it's better to try it. And even if you fail, you fail. It doesn't
Right.
matter. At least you tried.
Right.
Better doing that than actually not doing something and then having regrets
For sure.
or the, the
Wondering
common what if.
Yeah.
So,
Right. And
So-
the one of the big things besides Evelina that you guys had to take into consideration was the lab in
oh,
Quebec.
definitely. I mean, that is a big one because at that point, our lab was super successful.
Yeah.
We had a lot of people working for us. The thing was just running practically by itself.
Yeah.
So it was, a lot of people told us we were crazy.
Oh, yeah.
What are you doing? Leaving something
A lot
that
of
is
people did not
super,
understand.
super, successful to go start from zero in
Yeah.
another country, in another mentality, in another,
Yeah. Yeah.
But of course, in the end, everybody did support us. But it was kind of a weird decision. But money and work is not everything in life.
No,
So,
for sure.
yeah.
For sure. Yeah, I understand that people kind of questioning like, what are you saying? I was talking with my last guest, and so when I decided to leave the company that I was at before, making pretty decent money, stable income, Mercedes had just gotten pregnant. We had just bought our first house. COVID had happened, and I got the bright idea like, hey, let me go do a startup dental practice, 0 patients, 0
Yep.
everything. And the amount of people that I had look at me like, what are you, absolutely insane. But I think as long as you're taking calculated risks, do it scared, but still do it. And
Yeah.
your move to Florida seemed like it was like a joint, you both wanted to do it. Because when I first told Mercedes I wanted to move to Florida, she cried for 2 weeks and didn't talk to me. In her mind, Florida is where if you're gonna die, first you go to Florida and then you die.
Ah.
So I'm glad that you guys were at least synchronized.
No, we were
there.
synchronized for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we both wanted it.
So you're also a second generation dental technician.
Yes, I am. My father was a dental technician. I actually have one of his first wax knives. So he started in 1954.
Wow.
Yeah. So he saw a lot of change in the industry. He was a great mentor. Definitely, I learned a lot from him. He always had a open mind, which is odd for people of that generation. Usually, they know what they know, and
They're
that's it.
set in their ways, and that's.
But
what it
he
is.
did allow me. He at least gave me the liberty to research and express myself and listen to my ideas and supported me quite a bit. And that's rare.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And so through his mentorship, and I assume you hung around a lot.
I mean, since I was really young, I used to just, go to the lab and pour models or recycle dowel pins or like old school things that I would be doing to help out and be in that environment.
Yeah.
But of course, my father never really encouraged me to continue in his footsteps as my future career.
Yeah.
But
he was okay with you forging your own path.
Well, he actually did not really. He was against me following his footsteps.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, because the dental lab industry, even back then, was difficult, and it's getting even harder right now. But he just, he didn't want me to go through the hardships that he did, because he did go through a lot of hardships in his career. Yeah. Of course, having moved from country to country,
sure, yeah.
It's not easy, right?
Yeah.
But in the end, I just showed to him that I was serious about it. Went to school, got my degree. Of course, with the prior experience, because in the summers I would work. I was already trained before getting my degree. Mm-hmm. So, of course, I learned a lot from school as well. But I showed to him that I wasn't just going to stay, next to him, shadow him, and then make my career. I actually went to school, got the degree, did what I had to do, and then proved to him that I wanted to do this. So, yeah, definitely. I mean, my dad started this whole thing with my mom. Of course, she encouraged him and was always there. When they moved to Canada, it was during the recession in Canada and during the time that Quebec wanted to separate from the rest of Canada. So there was a lot of racism between the French and the English, and there was a lot of uncertainty economically. So my dad was even contemplating, after having had labs, after having had given a lot of conferences internationally, he was very well, advanced in Europe, etc. When he got to Canada, I mean, he was even contemplating just becoming a taxi driver to put.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, but then my mom pushed him to open up Style Dent Canada.
Style Dent Canada.
And he just did it.
Established in 1994, right?
93. 1993.
Yeah, I see it on the.
Yeah,
it's on the box.
The logo,
right?
yeah.
It's on the box.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's it. I mean, so my dad was an artist more than a businessman. Definitely a great hand, great technician, but it never really grew too much. So it was really, really small. It was always him, maybe one other person.
Yeah.
Me on and off. Yeah. So when I took over, I decided that we had to move forward and grow it. And thank God, with his trust, it was possible.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's
awesome.
actually how the name is from, because his dad was called Stylianos style.
Yeah.
Style Dent.
Interesting. I didn't know that. I just always thought, like, okay, well, these guys do really good high-end work, so that makes sense to me. But
no, it's
wow,
from his name, yeah.
And Lydia, do you have a dental background, or did that happen when you guys
learned
met?
everything from my father-in-law and my husband.
Oh, okay.
No,
what did you do before?
So I have a communication and political science degree at the University of Montreal, and then after I graduated, I got a job at a property management company, and they were managing 3 shopping malls, and I was in charge of their promotional and marketing and relationship with tenants, and doing fun stuff like the Easter farm, the Santa's parade, the fashion shows.
So a lot of business management and outreach. So it has translated kind of similarly to
because I was touching a little bit of everything, outside and inside communication, customer service in relationship to the tenants, the stores, owners, which a lot of them were mom and pop shops. And then doing like fun stuff to make sure we looked good and we had fun, and try to bring that a little bit and style them.
Yeah. How'd you guys meet? So going all the way back to the beginning, how'd you guys meet?
We met in
Spanish class. That we were there by a complete accident.
Speak Spanish.
And that's why we don't speak Spanish, because we skipped a lot of classes.
We were going across the street to the bar and skipping class and flirting.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Wow. All right. So you two hit it off pretty immediately.
At least for me, yes. Yeah. So, when I first met Lydia, she was in a relationship with somebody. Obviously, things weren't going very well, and I don't know. As soon as I saw her, I just fell in love. I don't know. It was just that feeling. It didn't take long. 5 minutes. I'm like, yeah, that's it.
Lydia?
Yeah, it was kind of scary because at first we were friends, and of course I was with somebody, but it wasn't going well.
Yeah.
Eventually that ended. And then we continued seeing each other, and then we didn't really want to. I didn't want to get into a relationship because I had my own plans. I wanted to go to Spain and learn Spanish for real, not just skipping classes. So I was planning like an 8-month trip, studying there and traveling. So I was like busy planning my trip, and so didn't want to get into anything, but I was falling in love, and
You just didn't know it yet.
I just didn't know it yet. And plus, he was like super scary because 2 weeks after we started actually dating, he told me he was going to marry me.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
I'm a little intense.
You went
Very
for it. Dude.
I did go for it. Yeah, I did.
But that really scared me. You're
Yeah.
like 19 years old, and somebody tells
wow,
you,
you were that
I'm
young.
gonna marry you. I was like, I think I didn't speak to you for like 2 weeks
Yeah.
after that. I got
It's normal.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so how old were you?
21.
Yeah,
Wow.
I was 19, and then I was like preparing my trip, and then he was like, if you go on that trip, like, I'm not gonna be waiting for you.
Well, because Miss Lydia over here, she had this expectation
Uh-huh.
that she can go and discover whatever it is that she wanted to discover, and
come
then
back.
I would like be waiting, and
Yeah, like the rom-coms.
I'm 21 years old.
Yeah.
You want to do what you want to do, please go ahead and do it. But if you come back, I mean, maybe I will be alone, and it is what it is.
Yeah.
Or maybe, I'm not going to.
You weren't going to put your life on pause.
Exactly. I'm not going to
Yeah.
put my life on pause. So
But at this point, I was so much in love, I decided
exactly.
to
I
cancel
mean,
the trip.
look at this, right?
No, I know.
For sure. No.
But
absolutely.
I
years
don't know how I was ever in
later,
doubt.
we
Yeah.
went to Spain for our honeymoon.
Yeah, that's the
and
reason we
that
went
was
to
Spain.
so
Hey.
much better.
So we went
All
together.
right.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
you kind of pulled it all back together, man.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Try to.
Yeah.
Look
And
at
that little adventure I was gonna have for like 8 months in Spain on my own. A
You got to have it with
lifetime
Jimmy
with
here.
Exactly.
you
Lifetime
Look at
adventure.
that.
is an adventure.
Yeah, that's for sure.
That.
Never a dull moment.
Absolutely
So
not.
you guys then get married, and
So we get married.
Not yet.
We get
Well,
married.
it's 2 weeks in. I think.
No, we-
Oh, no,
wedding's
no.
like
No,
a
it
year.
took,
No.
it took us 10 years to get married, I think. Was it 10 or 11 years?
Like you took 8 years to finally
I had to propose
and
twice.
then it
I had to propose twice.
It
So was
expired
the
because-
first 2-week proposal, we're not counting that.
No, that's not
That was
a real.
that was more a declaration.
Yeah, that was like
A
that's what.
declaration.
Yeah,
okay.
exactly.
You're planting your
Yeah.
flag.
Then I
Okay.
think I don't know. 8 years later, I proposed for real,
Okay.
which was kind of funny because I was young and I went all out and I put roses everywhere and I really tried to make it special.
Yeah.
But Lydia didn't get it. She's like, "Oh, look how nice, honey. The hotel put roses. Oh, look, honey. The hotel has a
what a
champagne
nice
bottle.
suite.
Oh,
They
isn't
have
this
the
nice?
rose
Oh, look how
and
nice the
the
hotel is." And
champagne.
it just
Aw.
really screwed me up because that's not the. I wasn't expecting that
No.
reaction.
Neither was I.
Yeah. So.
And he's
So
like,
so you didn't propose that.
Oh no, no,
day.
I did. I
you
did.
did.
Not
Okay.
at all how it was in my head.
Right.
It
And-
came out completely.
it was perfect.
Yes.
But you said no.
But then
No, I
no,
said
she
yes.
said
Oh,
yes.
she said yes. Okay.
Yeah, and then
Give me my flowers back.
no, to be honest, life happened
Mm-hmm.
and the business was just taking way too
A lot
much
of
because
our
at that
time
point
and
we
stuff.
were well,
Well, at that time we were working.
we were working
at that
together
time.
at that point. Yeah, we had started working together and we were just so involved and you know how it is.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you reach the point and get married and then you're like, oh well, it's not as I thought it would be.
Yeah.
You're still
We were not
apprehensive and-
fixing a date.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, when are we gonna get married? And then I'm like, your proposition, it expired.
Yeah.
So when you want to get married, you have to propose again.
So then we were at my best friend's house and his wife is giving me shit because like, come on, get your shit together. You
Yeah,
asked
yeah.
this girl, she's starting
It's
to
been
There's
forever.
never a good time.
yeah, and then she starts crying and then I'm trying to escape, so I go to the fridge with my head in the fridge like looking for something, and then I don't know, something clicked. I'm like, you know what? Let's just get married. So that was my second. As romantic as the first proposal was, that's how unromantic the second one was.
Yeah, his head in the fridge at our friend's
It was
house.
like
All right, let's just do it.
Like just picking a restaurant for dinner.
Yeah.
Basically, we're just going here.
Yeah.
While you're like crying over in the corner.
Yeah, I know.
But anyways, it happened. It was a beautiful wedding,
It
and that's it. And unfortunately, my dad was sick at that point at our wedding. He came, at least he made it, but then he died the year after. So
Wow. So
Yeah.
he was there. He
was there. He got to see us.
Mm.
Yeah, and yeah.
Tell me about the decision to start working together.
Ooh.
Because especially before getting married, but even after getting
Sure.
married, you guys are married. You guys still work together. I'm in that boat. My wife works with me, and whenever I told my friends, like, yeah, my wife works with me, it's usually the reaction is like, oh, dude, I don't know how you- I don't know
We
how
get
you
the
do
same
that.
reaction every time.
And
Yeah.
for me, honestly, for this practice, it's been one of the best things that's ever happened
Absolutely.
to this practice. So what was that like for you guys?
Well, for us, it was. I'm obviously always the instigator on certain things.
Yes,
And-
he is. But
yeah.
I was kind of tired of the job I was doing. I was looking for a new challenge anyway. I was on the lookout for a new job. He knew about it, obviously, and he's like, you know what? We're good at what we're doing. We do good work, but nobody knows about it. You want to come and join us and like help us market and do clients relationship and
Yeah.
all of that.
I convinced
I'm
my dad.
like,
I'm like, look, at this point, we can't keep going on like this for all the years. As you've done a great job. I mean, by all means, what my dad did allowed me to go to school, allowed me to do all these
Yeah.
things. But if we want to get to the next level, we need marketing, we need sales, we need to get known, we need branding, we need all these things,
Yeah.
and I cannot do all those things.
You know, that was at a time too when there wasn't a whole lot of that in
No.
the dental
No, there
industry,
wasn't.
and marketing was kind of frowned upon,
Mhm.
right? Like,
Absolutely.
dentists wouldn't even market.
That was the last thing in the budget
Yeah.
for any dental, whether it's a lab or a dental
Yeah,
practice.
Yeah.
because that was 2009.
That was
We're
2009.
talking 2009.
So, I mean, that's how it happened. And she again thought I was crazy, but
But we said we'll give it a try.
we decided
If it
to give a
doesn't
try.
work,
Yeah.
I'm still looking for a job anyway. I'll
just
just
find
go
a
back
job.
on the market, find something else. So let's give it a try.
So it was the cutest thing because the first day of work, Lydia comes in. You know, she's dressed all nice with her skirt, and she has her
My
nice heels and a
nails
nice
done.
bag, nails done. She's ready to go. And what happened
boy.
is the one employee we had quit like not long before, and we had a lot of work. It was just me and my dad, and we had work. We were doing removables back then. We were doing everything.
Boy,
So
here you go, Lydia.
I'm like,
Start pouring
Lydia,
some models.
I'm sorry, but I'm gonna show you how to pour some models.
Oh man.
So take off those heels, put on some slippers or
he
something
gives me like a
comfortable.
dirty overall. He's like,
Yeah.
put this on, come to the back. I'll show you how to pour models. I'm like, but I've never done this. He's like, you're artistic. You did art in high school.
You'll get it.
You're good with your hands. You'll be fine.
You'll get it.
I'm like,
Wow.
So in the end, she ended up doing that, and I taught her. So she did models, she did flasking. She was able to do dentures, opaques. I mean scanning.
Wow.
We had just bought a system back then, our first system. I mean, she learned everything. She did everything hands on. She was making occlusal guards. She was
I'm
doing
impressed.
everything. So
with a lot of crying.
So
of course.
yeah, there was crying. No, we nearly broke up. That first, I guess, 3 months, we nearly broke up
Yeah.
because it was, you know, I was her boss,
And I didn't like that.
and she didn't like that.
I can understand that.
Because at home,
I can
it's the
understand.
relationship,
Yeah.
but then at work,
Yeah.
I had to be the boss because this was a new thing to her.
Yeah.
But then Lydia doesn't like to be bossed around.
I don't like to be told what to do.
Yeah. Mercedes helped me with an extraction a couple days ago. And it was interesting having to tell her, like, no, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do this. And it's like the one area of life where she can't contradict me. So
Did you milk
it
him?
was yeah. It made the extraction last a little longer than it needed.
There you go.
We're enjoying it so much.
So you were doing all the hands-on stuff while also
I
marketing.
mean, we were doing hours and hours. No kids, young.
Yeah.
Still lots of energy.
Yeah. We were working hard. And I mean, at
A
that
lot
time,
of
we had a lot of
hours.
issues too. Like my dad had just had a heart issue.
Mhm.
So I had to literally take over the whole thing. We had just renovated and expanded to the suite next to us. Our contractor left us. I had to finish the renovations.
Oh, wow.
I had to paint. I had to open up in time. I had to do the work. My dad wasn't well. I could not put more pressure on him. So, with Lydia coming, everything was, worked out well in the end, and
Until we
needed that help
hired
until we
again,
hired
then
again
it
and all that.
was-
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
And then little Evelina comes into the mix.
She came
years
much later. Yeah, absolutely, much later.
Because she was born in 2015.
15.
Yeah, 15. So
Okay.
6
Was
years
she
later.
born in Canada?
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
So how did that alter some of the dynamics? Because now you've got a little one, and maybe you can't be there all the time as you were before. And how did that change
Well,
everything?
let me paint you a picture
Yeah.
during my maternity leave in the first few months.
Ooh.
Imagine me wearing Evelina in the how do you call that?
The swaddle,
baby,
the
like that.
baby
Yep.
carrier. thing.
Yeah. Breastfeeding while I was troubleshooting on TeamViewer on my laptop with all our milling issues and
Oh,
from home.
wow.
like the team calling me and being like, this didn't come out correctly. Can you check like the calculations? Because at that time I was also
Oh yeah, she was. Lydia
programming.
initially was accepted in engineering, and then decided not to get into it.
Okay.
So then at the lab, during those years from the beginning to where in 2015 we had her now bought our building, renovated a brand new lab where the lab is actually now in Canada, grew the team, etc. Milling machines. So Lydia had gone to a course where she learned about how to even write milling strategies.
Yeah, I was trained by
Wow.
some 3D. I was trained with the trainers to write the
Programs.
program because at the time they didn't have a 0.3 millimeter burr, for example,
For inside the crown.
but Dimitri wanted one
So
because
you had
it
to
was
go
gonna
and
be
figure
better.
it out.
So he's like, "I'm gonna find a burr and you're gonna put it in the system and you're gonna add the strategy and then
Make it work.
yeah." And then he's like, "I heard of this thing called a lollipop tool, lollipop burr." And then we called, I'm a Psycor. Can we have a lollipop tool? We call some 3D, the software. Can we no, we don't have a lollipop tool. And he's like, Lydia, I want a lollipop tool to be able to nail the under
Undercuts and
contours
4-axis, so it's faster.
and all of that. I was like, okay, challenge accepted. And then so
Yeah,
I was
she did
doing
great.
all these things.
So in maternity
But-
leave, she was, still.
I was in there, and so sometimes my team, my CAD/CAM team had issues, and they were like, I was troubleshooting them, and I was like, just
Wow. So there was no break. There was no downtime.
There was no break.
I did not like being neither there nor there. Like I like when I'm home, I'm home.
Yeah.
When I'm work. But yeah, that was a little hectic.
What was the most challenging part for you balancing, motherhood now and also you're a business owner, you're busy, you've got a successful lab, your husband wants things that don't exist.
But they do exist now.
They do exist now.
Well, there's still new requests.
Yeah, there are requests daily.
Always to the pursuit of excellence. This guy has like 10,000 ideas in his head that pops like every single day. It's so hard to follow.
Mercedes says the same thing about me for sure. So what was that? What was that biggest challenge for you at that point?
Yeah, it's always being learning how to be there. Like now that Evelina is 10 years old, okay, I have 10 years in being a mother and a business owner. And I've come to realize that I have to be present, no matter if I'm home or at work. Like, mixing two at the same time doesn't work.
Yeah.
Because as a mother, you constantly feel pulled. You're being pulled from like your team. They want something from you. Your child wants something from you. Your husband wants something from you. Your parents sometimes, you're like, you feel like you're being torn and you can't satisfy anybody.
Yeah.
And that's a horrible feeling because you feel like you're failing at all levels to everyone and your disappointment. And so try to like set boundaries to, for example, now if I pick up Evelina from school at 3:30, Like I really try hard to close my laptop. I'll take a call if it rings, but I'm trying to detach and just be with her, for example.
Yeah.
Just blocking times.
Yeah.
What about for you, Dimitri? Similar?
Yeah, similar. I mean, for me, what was hard is the fact that I started in production and being involved in production. It adds that extra element where it's hard to run the business. Now with 3 companies, running marketing, running sales, running people, running teams, running, developing products, then also troubleshooting, then showing and educating on different techniques. It's a lot of moving parts, right?
Yeah.
Now I'm doing a lot of lectures. Like in Chicago, I'll be giving 6 different lectures in February. So, we need to prepare for that, the content creation, all of that. So it's really blocking and understanding. For example, right now, my Mondays, I don't go in the lab. Mondays are my days where I take to think, to be creative, to plan my week, to know what's happening. And there's a problem as far as my team. I mean, I'm trying to make sure that everybody can be independent and troubleshoot themselves, but it can wait till Tuesday because Monday is my day to prepare myself.
Yeah.
And, as Lydia says, I need to be a good father. I need to be a good husband. I need to be a good businessman. I need time to make sure that I'm healthy and well as well. So I like running. So I do put time to do that because a stressed out Dimitri is not a good Dimitri.
No.
But all of that takes a lot of personal development. I think.
Yes,
especially
absolutely.
you guys said you have 3 companies now.
Yeah.
You have a daughter and your relationship. All of that requires you to delegate things to other people and to trust that it'll get done. And if you're like I am, that part takes some work.
It's hard.
Because
it's hard.
This is your baby. This is your, and you're an artist, right? Your craft is, creating this work of art. So in some sense, you have to pull yourself away from it a little bit because you can't just work in the business.
Exactly.
You have to work on your business as well.
Exactly.
So what was that trajectory for you like when you started realizing like, oh, I can't be everywhere all at once. I have to start delegating. I have to start trusting, some people that maybe they won't do it exactly how I do it, but 80% is enough.
I think it's a constant battle.
It's a constant battle because if I'm being very honest with you, even today I have a hard time. So there's moments where I just rather do it myself because it'll be more efficient and
You just try.
It's
going
to be how I want it. I'm a person who I'll never be happy with something somebody else does. It's just my personality.
But I don't think you're happy with things you do sometimes.
No, you're right. I'm not.
You're right. I will never forget one of the first times I visited the lab and you showed me, a All on X restoration that you had done. And I was just like, wow, dude, this is like incredible. And you're like, and I was like,
I know he's so hard on himself.
Yeah,
and
but
so that's why he's hard on others as well.
I'm hard on myself, which is that's a personal, I guess, problem if you want to call it, or it's character, right? Sure. That makes me very hard on others, but at the same time, I feel like that's what helps me get better. It helps others get better. That's how you evolve. Yeah. If you're satisfied and happy with how things are,
you're stuck.
You can't be
You're stuck. You can't just stay and be happy with what it is. I mean, by all means, I'm very grateful and blessed in many other things, and I'm not going to be ungrateful. But as far as your personal development, you can't stay happy. Yeah.
I agree 100%.
Stay a little hungry.
Yeah, always stay hungry.
Have there been moments where you guys maybe felt overwhelmed or kind of questioned the move to Florida or opening?
Well, COVID hit. COVID was a problem with us.
Yeah.
Because the story with COVID, so that's where we were not sure anymore because we came here 6 months before COVID happened as an investor visa. Investor visa stipulated that we needed to invest our money first and then apply for the visa. Ooh. So we bought equipment, opened up a lab, rented a little space, hired somebody, and then we were ready to submit our papers for the visa.
All with no credit.
because Canadians.
A real risk.
Yeah, we had to build everything. So everything was cash. So in the end, what happened is COVID hit and our status expired. The embassy closed, so we had to leave.
We couldn't get our interview for our visa. and we didn't know when the consulate was going to reopen.
And all that money's
And
tied
it had
up
been
in-
6 months, so we had to go back to Canada because we didn't want to jeopardize our future. So we just
closed the
Put the
door.
key-
Unfortunately, fired the person that we had. The landlord was nice enough to give us a little bit of grace period until we figured out what
was going to happen.
was happening. So we put all of our, I mean, when we first moved here, we went to IKEA, spent $3,000, equipped everything with IKEA student stuff for the first 6 months that we were here. So all of that stuff went into my sister's garage, and we put all of our equipment and other stuff in the lab, closed the door,
took our car
and drove back to Canada, not knowing what's going to happen.
And we all remembered the panic at the time.
Yeah,
like,
for sure. No one knew what was going on.
Nobody knew. Yeah.
Wow.
So once we were over there, we were trying to figure out another way to come back.
That's where a lot of doubt happened. If I can be honest, the fact that we came back is really all due to Lydia. At that point, I was done. I was like, this is just maybe a sign. This is not a good thing. Let's just, we have a great business here. We're making money. Let's just,
ride this one out.
We tried it out. It didn't work. Let's just let it be. And
But I was a little
Lydia was
stubborn.
adamant. Thank God you were stubborn. Thank
I
God.
was like,
yeah.
but what about our American dream?
Yeah.
Was that?
Yeah.
was
We
that
can't
really-
give
Yeah.
up. Yeah, I'm
Absolutely.
like, we've worked so hard the past 6 months. We're like almost there. If only we find a way to come back,
Yeah.
and COVID will somehow
Dissipate. Yeah.
things will work out. Like, is that what we want? Like, do we want to give up on our dream being like so close?
Yeah.
And now, when you guys did come back,
So we did come back.
So we came back. Our
Reopen.
lawyer found a way where we just had to
Another type of
get
visa,
to the
basically.
border and ask, can we come back and work for a year? And it was yay or nay. We had the moving truck that was waiting at the border. When we got accepted, we called them. We're like, okay, you can pass the border with our stuff.
wow.
So
Signing the lease like
while I was
on
driving,
FaceTime
Yeah.
while I was driving.
Oh, wow.
Like,
To have a
We didn't
place.
know where
we had to
else
find
we
a
were
new
gonna-
place.
So you overcome that
kinda
massive hurdle, but then there's still the challenge of, okay, you're back. You've got all your equipment that you bought. You've got the
Yeah.
lease, but you're still a brand new business.
Brand new.
Yeah,
With
nobody knows
no
us. Yep.
clients. No one
We
knows
lost
who
our
you
Lost
guys
the
are.
ones we
few
made because we had
clients.
to leave.
because of the gap.
So not many people know who you
No.
are, and on top of that, you're probably surrounded by, I can probably count like 3 or 4 other labs that have been there for quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
So now there's this challenge.
Yep.
Yeah, well, just
Hustling. We hustled and hustled and
Hustling.
hustled and knocked
pounding
on
the
doors
pavement.
and persevered and got rejected over and over and over and over and over again, and just kept on going.
Trying to build trust with the local community.
Try to prove it with our work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what we did.
meeting reps, getting the word out, knocking door to door.
Education has always been a big
trying
part too.
to-
We believe in it. We now have
Yeah,
our
we did some
educational
educational programs.
program. So I mean that really helped differentiate from all the other people that,
Yeah.
because we have gained a lot of knowledge.
Yeah.
So we shared that, and
Sure.
I think that was appreciated, and that's what started making us.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. More, especially my relationship with you guys, more than anything, it stemmed from that. So I met you guys when Matt introduced me to you guys, because I had been placing simple implants here and there for a while, and doing easy surgeries, and Matt was really pushing me to do the bigger stuff. And I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know that I want to deal with that. And he was like, well, why don't you just go meet this guy that I have out in Winter Park? Go take a tour of their lab. And that was when I met you guys, and you guys showed me your stackable guides. And there I met Ricardo. And I think you guys, in the hour and a half, 2 hours that I was there, you guys taught me more than some of the courses and curriculums that I had been to.
No, thank you.
And it was a lot of, I guess, instilling confidence through teaching.
Yeah, of course.
And I think, what was it, like 3 weeks later?
Yeah, you did your first
I did
case.
my first case.
Yeah, took forever, but
Whole 8 hours.
Yeah.
Now the one that we did Thursday, two hours, two and a
Yeah.
half, But I think the educational part of what you guys
Sure.
do has been a huge, huge factor.
but it's important.
Yeah.
It's important. In our industry, a lot of dental techs, a lot of labs complain. They complain about doctors and dentists, and things aren't good. They're not what we want. They're not this. They're not that. Well, you know what? Maybe help changing that. Maybe it's not because they want to do it on purpose, it's because they don't know certain things, and educate. There's nothing wrong with educating and working together.
Yeah.
And that's what it is.
Yeah. What lessons do you hope to teach your daughter through the work that you guys have done together, working together, and the life that you guys have built, what you guys were willing to leave behind in Canada?
Perseverance, not to give up. That's
For
definitely a big one.
Discipline, consistency.
Absolutely. Not to just do things when you feel like doing them, not doing them. We never feel like doing a lot of things that we do.
Trust the process.
Yeah, trust the process. Trust yourself. Have a good self-confidence. Believe in your thing and just go for it.
Discipline trumps motivation.
Absolutely.
Right? Motivation is fleeting.
Yeah.
You could be motivated one day and the next day you're like, I don't know.
Yeah,
And take action.
You can't be moody about work ethic.
Yeah.
Absolutely take action. Because there's a lot of dreamers out there. Things don't get done. But take action.
And I would say a lot of imperfect actions is so much better than
No action.
waiting for the perfect action.
Oh,
Because because sometimes you feel you're not ready. You're like, no, my product's not ready, or my approach is not ready, or my website's not ready. Or you're like,
It doesn't have to be
cares?
perfect. We're
Just
seeking progress.
leap forward and just you'll create your own momentum. One thing will lead to another, and
Oh yeah, that's for sure.
doesn't matter.
That's what Lydia did. That's for sure. I have actually a little side story to this.
Please.
Yes, when I was 23 years old, I believe, we had gone to a dental show in Quebec, the biggest dental show that they have yearly, the International Dental Journée Dentaire Internationale du Québec. And I was going around, and then Lydia disappeared, and then she comes back. I'm like, where you been? She's like, okay, you ready? I'm like, sure. She's like, what are you doing on, I don't remember the date, maybe it was February 27th. I'm like, I don't know, not much. Why? She's like, well, you're giving a conference to the continuing education department of Montreal University. And I'm like, what? What do you mean I'm giving a conference to, this was the first time ever, right?
Yeah.
Well,
I signed you up, honey. Isn't this
yeah,
great?
I signed you up, and they need people like you, and you're gonna give. I'm like, to
They're
who
very
am I giving?
excited.
She's like, you're giving to doctors that want continue. So I'm like 40, 50-year-old doctors that have experience, that I just graduated, and what am I teaching? Oh, materials.
And she's saying and just
Yeah. I'm like, are you insane? She's like, well, it's done. Figure it out.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Massive action.
massive action.
And that was the first time, like his first time lecturing ever. And look now, 15 years later.
Yep.
There you go. Thank you.
So talk about figuring it out
Yeah,
later.
I'll say that.
They loved it. They asked for it again the year after. And then McGill University heard about it. And then they wanted him. And then Laval University heard about it. They
And
had
then the armed
never,
forces too.
in all the history of continuing education program, in these three universities, they never had a dental tech go up and speak.
And it was your
So-
bright idea. You're like, that means
Yeah, he was the first in the three universities.
In the relationship, is there one of you that pushes the other more, or are you guys pretty balanced with that?
We have our moments.
Yeah.
We have our moments, I think. I mean, you push me quite a bit.
I push him out of his comfort zone a lot
Yeah.
I'll
I
say.
think
I'll say.
because I believe
you're
in
hearing
him
that
so
story,
much.
yeah.
I'm like,
she has way too much
you
confidence
can
in
do
me.
it.
That's the problem.
Yes, I trust you. I believe you.
Yeah. But I mean, I push you in other ways as well. I try to push you to get outside of your head. Lydia's very much in her head sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm really strong in actually communicating and just getting your feelings out and understanding what you're feeling and where we want to go and what we're doing. So I mean, we're pretty
Complement each other.
Yeah.
yeah
In a professional sense, from having worked together in your careers, what's one thing that you guys have learned about each other that maybe you didn't know before you started working together?
That we learned about each other.
Yeah, like from working together that you wouldn't have known
I don't
if
know,
you
we've
hadn't
been
worked together.
Working together for so long.
Well, Lydia's fearless.
Yeah.
That's one thing. Lydia is fearless.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing I can say. That's for sure.
Yeah, she definitely had no fear signing you up for that.
No, for anything. I mean, Lydia is just like
Like, let's go.
she's just fearless.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy, and she's very hard headed, which is in the personal life not
I
that
was gonna
great,
say, that's a
but in the
double-edged
professional,
sword.
definitely in the
bad?
professional sector, a very good thing. Absolutely,
for sure.
Yeah. So
And then, so the third business that we've referenced a couple times is, so you guys met up with Dr. Ricardo da Costa from
Yes.
Brazil.
He was
How did
godsend.
that?
so that
I
was,
love him. I absolutely love
Yes.
him. How did
he's
that
absolutely
come about?
amazing.
So
We had put an ad to find a tech when we started.
when
Things
we
started
reopened
growing,
that,
and
yeah.
we reopened, and we were getting customers, and I was starting to get way too much work for just my two hands. We put an ad to find a technician, and at that time Dr. Da Costa was in Brazil, and he actually applied because he had his clinic, he was a doctor, and he had a CEREC machine, and he would do his own stuff. He knew how to glaze, he knew how to
And
so
he
he
really
actually-
enjoyed that.
he enjoyed doing
the
that
lab part.
so he applied to come and
Work as a tech.
work as a tech. So I saw his CV, and for many years, I mean, he is a maxillofacial radiologist. So for many years, I wanted to do surgical guides. I just didn't feel it was right with my training to do it, because I don't believe in getting a weekend course and then pretending I know how to make a guide. So I felt like that was a great opportunity to bring him on board and open up a company and make guides properly. So we started with some, Zoom meetings, we met, etc. And very soon after, just like the wedding story, I proposed. I'm like, you'll think I'm crazy, but I feel that you're
We're gonna be in business
overqualified
together.
to just, work for me. I think that together we can be great partners, and we can open up a business together
Yeah.
where you can, you can do what you do, which
Did he not talk to you?
you're a
for 2 weeks?
specialist. No, I mean, he was, he's a person who is very calculating, and he takes time to make certain decisions, and
Yeah.
he is sure of his decision when he makes it, but he will analyze things
Yeah,
very,
he's very
much.
methodical.
Very methodical,
Yes.
yeah. So he took time to think about it, and at that time I didn't rush anything. I said, look, let's just have meetings weekly. Let's make a business plan together. Let's meet every week.
Every
And
week
let's see if our
consistently,
vision
and
comes
just-
together, then let's do it.
Yeah.
And then you can move to the States, and then we can start this. So that's exactly how it happened. And just the stars aligned. I saw the opportunity, I took it, and this year was great for us.
We hit it off like right
And,
away.
yeah, we did great, and we hit it off, and now we have a second doctor on board,
Dr.
Dr. Jonas.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
So, it's great just because, that's what these guys have been doing for so many years.
And Dr. DaCosta's brother is an oral surgeon.
Exactly.
in
So
Brazil as well,
he's
right?
the first who tested our guides and gave us feedbacks, and
Yeah.
and still continues to.
So once again, you see an opportunity and calculated risk, but you go for it.
Yeah,
Right? So
yeah.
Leave us with one piece of advice for aspiring entrepreneurs. What do each of you have as one piece of advice for somebody that, big dreamer, entrepreneur, wants to go out and do their own thing?
Sure. Did you want to start, or you want?
So many advice.
There's a lot
So
of
much
advice,
advice.
and to be honest with you, there's a lot of podcasts, a lot of just unfortunately everybody says the same thing, and I don't want to get into the cliche of persevering, not giving up. All that is a given, right? What I want to say is, unfortunately, today in the society in which we live in, we are constantly rewarded with instant gratification.
Yeah.
And whether it's social media or whatever it is, we are gratified instantly. And a lot of young entrepreneurs expect the same in business. And what advice I could give that could be a little different to the obvious, never give up and all that, is just be patient. Be patient. Go for it for sure. But be patient. Because yes, you may get going very well from the beginning, but it's not going to last. You need to build things in the right timing. You need to be patient and build them correctly.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, it'll come down. It'll crumble down as fast as it went up.
Yeah. And there it's going to be growing pains.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that would be my part that is a little bit different than the cliche.
To piggyback on that, it would be to pace yourself.
Yeah.
because yes, we've done our fair share of hours, but that was to the detriment of our health to some degrees in some of the years
Yeah,
that
that's for
we've
sure.
been entrepreneurs, and health should always be number one, and relationships and your family. I think there's a way that you can work hard and still don't forget about what's important,
Yeah.
because
Yeah, one of my mentors calls that defining your non-negotiables.
Mhm.
correct.
So
Yeah,
it's,
very well
I
said.
want to achieve this, but these are the things that I am not willing to sacrifice in order to achieve.
Yeah, especially if you have kids, like don't come home and give your kids the crumbles that are left of you after you've given your all to work. It's not fair for them. It's not fair for your
No, it's
spouse.
not. And a trick on how to do that, I think, is important to be communicated as well. When you're a business owner, you know very well, sometimes we're so focused. It's like a camera that's always focused on a macro approach and looking at things just there.
Yeah.
But you need to zoom out. You need to look at the big picture
Yeah.
and what you do and how are you touching and changing lives, and how important is it, and how much of the end of the world is it if things didn't work out with A, B, or C.
Yeah.
So looking at the big picture, because there's more to life than just that little thing that you're
Yeah.
focused on.
That's so
Don't
true.
be afraid to step back, reflect, rebalance your priorities, and then continue moving forward. And if you're doing this with a partner,
Oh, it definitely helps.
I think that sometimes we try to protect each other by not saying things. I'm not gonna talk to him about this because I don't want to stress him out, or I'm not gonna talk to him about my fears because then he's gonna become fearful, or but that's when you kind of
Need to
grow
communicate.
apart and become isolated and more stressed, and it becomes more hard. I feel everything you live, you have to live it together. That's why our personal and our business life are very intertwined, and because we have to share everything with no resistance. So
Yeah,
that
we
can
pick
live
up
it
the slack also
together.
from, not the slack, but we're
If
intertwined.
one is down,
If one is down, the other one is
picks
up, and vice versa. And
If you don't say
we're
anything,
interchangeable.
Yeah. Yeah.
you can be picked up if you're not saying you're down.
Yeah, that really speaks to me, because there are things that I don't want to tell Mercedes, not because I want to hide something from her, but because
to worry
if
her.
I look over there and she's already stressed out because my kid refuses to eat and he's surviving on air and maybe a banana, and the other one's screaming her head off, and I can see her stress. The last thing I want to do at the end of the night when she lays down is to say hey, we got these bills coming due, and this AR is still out there, and this insurance hasn't paid. It's stressful, and so I do have that tendency where it's just I'll deal with that. What I mean? That part is hard.
It might be okay for the moment, but on the long run,
Don't let it accumulate.
It's not good.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
But we're blessed overall. We're very blessed.
Very
We've
blessed.
had big wins in the States, and in the end, it's a happy story. It's not it's not the end. It's only the beginning.
For sure.
We've definitely come a long way from where we started here in the States, and we're just blessed. Super blessed.
Well, you guys have worked for that. You guys have worked
Yes.
really hard for that, and it shows. And honestly, it's inspiring to see the huge risk that you guys were willing to take, and how it has paid off. Right? I think there are a lot of people that they get stuck in fear, or analysis paralysis, and big ideas, but they never do anything about it. So to see what you guys were willing to risk, and to know that through hard work and that persistence, it has paid off. I'm happy to see that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
And thank you guys both for
Thanks for
coming
having us.
today.
It's an honor and a pleasure.
No, it's all mine.
And thank you for doing this, because it's different than anything else that's out there, and it's important. It's not your same old podcast. This is different.
Thank you.
This is So thank you for doing this.
That's the same way that you guys had a vision for your lab. That was the vision here for this. Is I think right now we're living in a time where I call it the TikTok attention span, where, it's just mindless nonsense and scrolling, doom scrolling, and nothing actually edifies you. Nothing actually gives you any sort of deeper connection. And I think that there is a space out there for people that want to actually hear someone else's story and draw inspiration from that, so I appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Yes.
you.